It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers. Fired up to have you along for the ride. The SEC tournament is just underway at the time of this recording. Game number 1 between Missouri and Alabama is underway. So maybe on tomorrow's show we'll have some more thoughts overall on the action so far at the SEC tournament. But also on Monday afternoon, the league office announced its all SEC teams, the SEC awards, all of those things. LSU well represented, but as is always the case with, awards like that, postseason awards, it's always the snubs that many look at. So we'll talk about some of those situations. One is far more egregious than any of the others. But we'll kind of run through them all. But I do want to acknowledge and honor the guys who did make it, all 7 of them, and really kind of, a few of them look into the season that they had and what they've meant to LSU here on this show. So that's what we'll do. And again, we'll talk about some of the snubs as well. So smash the like button, please. If you have not already, go ahead and get subscribed to the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app. Just search Musso at the Box right there. You can take the show with you wherever you may go. Follow on social media, Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, all of those places as well. And please share if you haven't already as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So 7 Tigers honored by the league office on Monday afternoon. Cade Anderson, Zach Cowan were LSU's 2 first-team all-SEC performers. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, Cowan has been one of the best. Zach Cowan has been one of the best back end of the bullpen guys, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country. He's been able to serve in multiple different roles, whether it's length, whether it's go get 1 inning, just all of those aspects. We've seen it. Has it been rough the last couple of weeks? Yes, but overall, there's really no complaint there. And he's on there with Dylan Delancey and then Carson Osborne, the closer from Alabama, who are the league's best statistically. So that makes a lot of sense. Then I mean, look, Cade Anderson, y'all. We're gonna come back to Cade Anderson kind of at the end of this. I want to talk a little bit more in depth. There. Second team, you saw 4 for LSU. Jared Jones. Look, I mean, has Jared Jones had a few slumps at points this year? Sure. But when you look at the body of work overall from his career and what he's been to LSU, the importance that 22 has had in your lineup for 3 seasons now. I mean, you got to remember, that's a guy who he got plenty of at-bats as a freshman because Trey Morgan was playing the outfield a little bit. He had some injury, and they wanted to get a look at him and things of that nature. And Jared Jones hit 300. Had 14 homers as a freshman on a team that won the national championship, and he's just never really looked back. He's been a career 300 hitter, and this season of all, man, again, yes, he's had a little slump, but he has been the most feared hitter in your lineup from day one and has really held that role down quite well. I mean, when you look at the season as a whole, 344, 19 homers. He's moved into 3rd place all-time there. Jared Jones has been awesome from a production on the field standpoint, but I think also the leadership that he provides to this team. So it was great. Would you love to have seen him get a first-team nod? Of course, but man, Andrew Fisher from Tennessee deserved it, led the league in homers, like all those things. So, that one just it makes a lot of sense, but it's great to see Jones get that, recognition. Daniel Dickinson was your second team second baseman. Derek Curiel as a freshman making an all SEC team in the outfield. And of course, Anthony Iansson at the starting pitching, freshman all SEC, obviously Derek Curiel, but then Kason Evans. And man, how much has Kason Evans meant to this baseball team? That's hard to quantify. And then your all defensive team, Cade Anderson landed on there as well as the pitcher for your all defensive team. So in all, 7 honorees for LSU and all well deserved. Again, Cade Anderson, I said I wanted to kind of come back to that. And man, Cade Anderson's importance to this team cannot be overstated. Similarly to a guy like Jared Jones. Everyone always talks about 3 starters. And the reality of that is, while it's a luxury to have 3 starters, it is not a necessity in college baseball. It just isn't. Look at some of the best teams LSU's ever had. I mean, y'all, the 2023 team, you didn't have 3 starters on that team. You know, you wanted it to be Thatcher Hurd, and eventually in the postseason, he developed into one of your key players, and you don't win a national championship without him. The guy started the national championship game, went 6 innings. Like, he was awesome. Gave up 2 runs. He was awesome that day. But for the majority of the year, you had Skeens and Floyd, and they were both awesome. And, you know, you really saw Floyd ascend at the very end, but he was really consistent throughout the year. You know, I think of a team that had 3 starters. I think of the 2017 team with Lang, Poche, and Walker. That team made it to the national championship. You didn't win it. You know, the 2013 team had 3. Nola, Eads, Cody Glenn. Cody Glenn won 8 games. You went 0-2 in Omaha that year. 2009, yeah, Coleman Renato, Austin Ross won about 8 or 9 games for you in that Sunday spot. It's pretty good. You won a natty that year. It can go both ways. The one thing you have to have, especially in the SEC, is an ace. You have to have an ace. And you know what? After 2022, Jay Johnson's had one every single year. But each year it's been, man, who's going to step up into that role? Obviously in 2023, it was Paul Skeens. Last year, I mean, Holman Jump, I mean, you just interchange them. But losing those guys, Iansson was your prize out of the portal from a pitching standpoint, starting-wise. And then Cade Anderson, man, from day one, think of the journey. That's a guy who out of St. Paul's probably doesn't make it to LSU, if not for Tommy John in high school, makes it here, bursts onto the scene as a freshman, once conference play starts, struggles, has an ERA of 27 or so in conference play a year ago, and from day number 1, he worked his ass off in the offseason with Nate Yeske in the weight room to get bigger and stronger. He added that slider. He's got much more of a pitch mix now with that, because you knew he was always going to throw strikes. But from day 1, leaving all that behind from a year ago and just getting to work, and then day 1 this season, he has been your ace. Cade Anderson has kept you in every single game on Friday night, or game 1 of a series, whichever one, you know, however you want to call it. He's done that. He's been top 5 in the nation in strikeouts. He's second in the SEC in punchouts. In fact, he's second in the country in punchouts, trailing the same guy, Liam Doyle. But he has just given you an opportunity in every single game. And that is of the utmost importance. And for what it's worth, LSU, out of Cade Anderson's, out of Cade Anderson's 14 starts, you've won 12 of them. You've won 12 out of them. The other one was a tough loss against Texas A&M, and then the other one was Auburn. That's what you have to have. You have to have an ace, and Cade Anderson from day 1 this season has been LSU's ace. And he's just been so valuable to this team, and you love to see it because of the journey that he took. Now, I want to talk about Daniel Dickinson here momentarily, but let's do the snubs. Before I do that, let me remind you about Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com, for your quote, any exterior lighting that you need for your home, your business, office, whatever it may be. Gotlit Light Installers, permanent outdoor landscape lighting. You want to take the curb appeal to your home to the very next level. Illuminate it 24/7. Maybe you got some great flower beds. Maybe you're a yard of the month person, right? You want people to be able to see that at night. Gotlit Light Installers, they can add great permanent outdoor landscape lighting that just accents your home, your garden, any of that in the backyard as well, for your patio, your pool area, outdoor kitchen. Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Everything looks better when it's lit. And don't forget about the Christmas lights in the winter. They offer decorative wreaths and things for your home or your business. I mean, look, Memorial Day is coming up. You also have the 4th of July coming up. Get a wreath for that. It can double as both for both holidays at Got Lit Light Installers. They offer so much more than lights and grade A customer service as well. You know what it is? It's the one-stop shop. Install, maintenance, teardown, storage, Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. The Snubs. Derek Curiel. You know, I think a lot of people were looking at Curiel for Freshman of the Year, and I will tell you this, in my opinion, with 3 weeks in this season left to play, Derek Curiel had an absolute stranglehold on that award. But the last 3 weeks have just not gone great. Curiel has seen his average drop 36 points in the last 3 weeks. It started at A&M. Heading into that A&M series, Curiel was hitting 380 and had an OBP of 500 still, with 3 weeks left to go in the season. And then he finally hit a slump. The thing that really kept Derek Curiel in that race all year long, even through this little slump, and the sole reason I would point to that go, yeah, he still could have and maybe should have won that award, is the on base. Derek Curiel reached base in 52 of the 55 games that LSU played this year. That's incredible. And he did it from the leadoff spot as a freshman. Like, that is remarkable what Derek Curiel did there. Remarkable. But I think these last 3 weeks kind of took him out of it. You know, if Derek Curiel finished the season hitting like 370, 375 in that realm, he's probably first team all SEC. And at that point, I don't know how you wouldn't give him Freshman of the Year, because you would have gone through, again, the same reach base streak potentially, maybe even a little more than that. But 52 games out of 55 to reach base is remarkable. That's just something that we're not going to see a whole lot. And that guy meant a lot to your team as a true freshman. Again, hitting leadoff from day one. But I do think the last few weeks took him out of it. Now, I will say this. Dylan Volantis is awesome over at Texas. With 100%, no doubt. Kid's a star. He's going to be even bigger star. He was absolutely dominant. I mean, we watched him carve up LSU, and his role at Texas is only going to increase. It's only going to increase this season. But he would not have been my Freshman of the Year. And look, here's why. All the things we just said are true. Like, he's epic. It's hard for me to ever give that award to a pitcher. Dylan Volantis appeared in 20 games out of the 55 that the 53 that Texas played. 20 games. He's just not impacting. Look, 12 saves, that's awesome. But the impact just isn't there to the level of, say, a Chris Rembert at Auburn, who would have been my pick for Freshman of the Year when you look at the whole totality of the thing now that it's done. Chris Rembert at Auburn was absolutely awesome. The kid hit well over 350 in the SEC as a freshman. You know what? It might have been more than that. But you know, when you just look at him, and here you go, Rembert led Auburn in hitting at 355 overall. He hit 10 homers. He played in 51 games with 50 starts. That's a guy who in conference play only hit 376 as a true freshman. 6 of his 10 homers. Like, he had more home runs in conference play than he did out of conference. Chris Rembert was awesome for Auburn all year, and he played a great second base. He was he was second team all SEC as well. But that would have been my pick. He had the longevity over the course of the entire season. And again, Dylan Valantis is awesome. And if you want to give that to like a freshman pitcher, fine. But they need to be a starter. Like a reliever, that's just so hard because like Alex Lang won freshman of the year at LSU, right? And totally deserved it. Langer was in the rotation day one, and he went undefeated as a freshman in the starting rotation, like in the Southeastern Conference. That's worthy. Now, you'd say, but he impacted less games than Dylan Valantis. Sure. The guy was a starter in the SEC. Starting pitcher means a lot more just in that regard. Dylan Valantis will probably move into the role next season of being a starter and anchor this Texas rotation. Like I said, he's great. He's going to be an even bigger star than he already is. But it's just hard for me to give that to a reliever, especially when you have a guy like Chris Rembert over at Auburn who impacted so many games at such a high clip over the course of the entire season. So that's where I stand on that. You probably thought I would grandstand and stump for Derek Curiel. And if this were 3 weeks ago, I would have. In fact, 3 weeks ago, I did. But it's the entire body of the work of the season. The entire body of work of the season. Not just, with 3 weeks left. So Chris Rembert actually would have been my pick there. However, Derek Curiel is nowhere close to the biggest snub that LSU had. The biggest snub that LSU had was Anthony Iansson not being first team all SEC. Like, that's borderline inexcusable. Actually, it's not borderline. That is inexcusable. And I know what you're going to say because it's what we all say during award season. Okay, well, we got to reference it earlier with Jared Jones. Like, man, would you have loved to get him first team? Yeah, but Andrew Fisher was awesome. You can't not have him there. If you're going to add somebody, who do you take off? And for me, that answer is easy. It's Zach Root. You're not taking Liam Doyle off. Liam Doyle deserves that. He leads the nation in strikeouts. He leads the SEC in a bunch of categories, including ERA. Like, Liam Doyle was awesome. He was the pitcher of the year. That guy's absolutely going to be first team all SEC, and he deserves to. He's going to be a top 10 draft pick. Cade Anderson, you're not taking him off. Second in the nation in strikeouts, second in the SEC in strikeouts. He's everywhere on those lists. The guy's going to be like a top 5, top 10 pick in July's draft. Kyson Witherspoon, you're not taking him off. Kyson Witherspoon's been awesome all year for Oklahoma. Again, going to be a top 15 pick. He's great. Zach Root's a really good pitcher. Zach Root has been at the front of Arkansas's rotation for a while this season, not the whole year. When you look at his stats, he's 2 games above 500, a 6-4 record. The ERA is 4.16. He's punched out 102. Like, it's a good season. But when you compare that to what Anthony Iansson has done, it's not close. Anthony Iansson is top 5 in the nation in strikeouts. Anthony Iansson has a sub-3 ERA at 2.88, more than a run better than a guy like Zach Root. And when you factor in the entirety of the season, like, that's why I go to those stats, ERA, ERA, strikeouts, something like that accrues over the entire season and point like, okay, I mean, he's top 5 in the SEC in ERA, and he's number 3 in the nation in strikeouts. He's won 9 games, 9-2. The guy's going to win 10 games this year, maybe more than that, depending on how long LSU plays. How in the world is he not first team all SEC? Like, what argument can you give me that Zach Root deserves that spot over Anthony Iansson? That's ridiculous. And you know what? I can tell you what it probably was. Arkansas is one of the top 4 teams in the SEC and in the nation. And that's their ace, and they wanted to honor him for it because he's the ace of one of the best teams in the country. And that's fine, but that's the problem with award season. Because you end up snubbing a guy like Anthony Iansson, who deserves that spot. LSU has the best 1-2 punch in the nation. In the nation. And both of them should have been first team all SEC. That's inexcusable to not have Anthony Iansson up there with Doyle, Anderson, and Witherspoon when you go and look at the ranks and you see his name next to theirs in damn near every category. That's absurd. That is absolutely absurd. You take it a step further, too. Just look at him in conference play. Anthony Iansson got a 2.8 ERA in conference play. Like, dude, the guy's been phenomenal all year. All year. Just absurd. And then you factor in the last 5 weeks, and my goodness, really starting with that Alabama game is when he hit his stride and just took off. But ERA and strikeouts and OBP and all those things, OBA, that's accrued over the course of the entire season. And he's dominant in those and better than Zach Root in those as well. So, I mean, it's also top 5 in innings pitched, by the way, in the SEC. Just to show you the how he can stretch out. That's egregious. And I'm happy he got the honor on second team because he deserves some honor. But Anthony Iansson should have been a first team all SEC pitcher along with Cade Anderson. There's just really no excuse. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the other player I wanted to talk about. Well, first, Kason Evans, real quick. Kason Evans also should have, like, if we're giving love to Dylan Volantis as SEC Freshman of the Year, Kason Evans should have been more involved in that conversation as well. Now, he didn't appear in as many games, but he threw almost the same amount of innings. He also has a sub-2 ERA, 6 saves, so I get he doesn't have as many saves. But Kason Evans has been absolutely phenomenal. And LSU, I don't even want to think about where LSU's team would be right now without Kason Evans stepping in as a freshman the way he did and impacting wins like he did. Same as Dylan Volantis, but I'll stay consistent. I just can't look at that and go, man. Excuse me. And go, he appeared in 16 games out of 55. But if you're going to give the award to a reliever, Kason Evans should have been considered for that as well. Highly considered for that as well. But he's just been awesome. I mean, from the moment he stepped foot onto the mound, opening day, he was the first out of the bullpen over the whole season. The first game, first out of the bullpen. And he shoved in, and he's been shoving the rest of the way. And there's just been so many massive, games that go one way or the other, whether it was at game 2 against Mississippi State. How about game 2 against Missouri early in the year when LSU was still trying to find themselves on the mound a little bit? The start against Tennessee in a rubber game that you really, really needed to have. Hell, this past weekend against South Carolina. And I've left some out, I'm sure. But I mean, those are the ones that immediately come to mind. And he's just been awesome all year. And he has impacted winning greatly. So, again, I don't even want to shudder to think. That's a guy who you look at him right now and you go, man, you pencil him in May as your Friday night ace for next season. But he's been incredible. And, like of Dylan Volantis, he's already a star in this league, and he's just going to become a bigger one. And last but certainly not least, who I really wanted to hone in on was Daniel Dickinson. Because Danny Dickinson has been such a slam dunk out of the transfer portal. And he was one that I was really, really happy to see get a nod on an all-SEC team because he deserved it. Danny Dickinson, the question everybody wanted to know is, man, would it translate? Coming from the WAC in Utah Valley, and boy, has it. He hit over 300 in the SEC, 313, in his first and only year in the league because he's going to be drafted. He fielded 982 at second base. He hit double-digit home runs and sits at tied for second in RBI on this LSU team. He's just been an absolute home run out of the transfer portal. And again, a guy that I don't want to imagine LSU's team this year without, because you know what he's done so well is protect Jared Jones in the lineup. You know, you go back to that Kansas State game. That was really the first time. You know, they intentionally walked Jones, and he hits a 3-run homer behind him. And from then on out, teams have been less gun-ho to intentionally walk Jones. And you've seen Jones get more pitches to hit, and that's how he's able to get up to 19 home runs again. And especially lately, because Daniel Dickinson, the other thing that he is right now, is your hottest hitter on this team. He's got a 7-game hitting streak going, which is the longest on LSU squad currently. And he's one off his longest of the year of 8. He's hitting 379 in those 7 games. He's got 11 hits. Reached base streak. He's got your longest one currently at 12 straight games that he's reached base. He is your hottest hitter going into the postseason. And given where he hits in the lineup, that's massive for this LSU team and this LSU offense. Daniel Dickinson has just been in fuego, really starting with that game number 3 at Texas A&M. That's where this 7-game streak started. And he has just been awesome. You know, we mentioned the 982 in terms of position players on the infield. That's second behind only Stephen Milam, who's at 984, and probably should have gotten the all defensive team mention, but whatever. Justin LeBron, pretty good player. But the other thing that Daniel Dickinson does is it answers another question that we had. And that was, you know, this is really the first year that Jay Johnson went into the mid-major ranks for transfers. Danny Dickinson and others, I mean, like a Zach Cowan as well. That shows that you can go there and you can find great players. You can bring them in. They can impact winning at this level. And I think you're going to see more of that. Is LSU still going to be in on the biggest and best transfers out there? Sure, 100%. But when you look at the guys who have just impacted winning from a transfer perspective so much on this team, a guy like Dickinson, Cowan, Iansson, Luis Hernandez, they came from mid-major schools. And you knocked it out of the park. And Dickinson especially. It's incredible because, you know, just to show how well he translated. Because he is really good. Go back and revisit his numbers from the 2 years at Utah Valley. And you see a guy in Dickinson that hit 372, 367. He hit 335 at LSU. You know, you weren't going to have the home run numbers that you did. But 10 is it's kind of right where we all thought he'd check in, 10 to 12 here at LSU with the step up in competition. His best RBI season at Utah Valley was 53. He's at 45. Like, he's just a great baseball player. He's just a great baseball player, and he's impacted winning so much, and I'm so happy that he did get that recognition for an all-SEC bid. Whether it's first or second team, doesn't matter. he deserved the recognition because he's been awesome. He's been key to LSU's success this season. And again, he's your hottest hitter going into the postseason, and that's huge. So you'll get your next look at him on Friday when LSU faces either Mississippi State, Texas A&M, or Auburn in the SEC tournament. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Y'all smash the like button, please, on your way out. Get subscribed to the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app. Follow on social media. All of those things. Share. Got Lit Light Installers. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.